Merry Christmas, Fantasy League of Ordinary Gentlemen. It is not a young version of Santa Claus on your screen, but your commissioner, Joe Johnson, coming to you, as always, for anything but ordinary Week 16. And Christmas came a little early for some, as a berth in the semifinals is in their future, and it's a blue Christmas for others who were knocked out in the first round. There's nothing more frustrating than, putting in all the work and getting into the finals only to get knocked out in round one. I can think of very few things more frustrating than that, especially those of us who had very close games, I, of course, being one of them. That, of course, doesn't take anything away from the consolation ladder, where there were losses and wins to be cheered and mourned over, especially for Brennan, who apparently doesn't watch the podcast and doesn't pay attention to the regulations and doesn't realize that there's plenty of them on the line to play for when it comes to the consolation ladder. You don't want to be, at the bottom, as co-commissioner Aaron Grog brought up in the chat. You want to wear a dress? Do you want to parade around town telling everyone that you're the worst person in fantasy football? Brennan, I think not, sir. A chance to ride it. We'll get there in a moment. First, as always, welcome in, whether you be new this holiday week or a member or just, someone who's been following. As always, we appreciate you. Like and subscribe. Get us out there. We're going to break down what happened in round one first, as always. So let us start off with that consolation ladder. Number 10, Chandler Taylor taking on number 9, Brauc Hudgens. And this game within 6 points, literally 101.26 to 107.26. And you can see what, happens when you have teams that are, so closely, ranked and put up against each other. You're going to get these close games. And it was one of those games where the first thing you really notice is the big goose egg by A.J. Dillon on Chandler's team, and you have to think, if that was almost anybody else, you win this game, Chandler. It is unfortunate. Josh Allen has a big day, and James Cook an even bigger day, and I just have noticed that since James Cook is running the ball so much more, the Bills have really turned into this run-first offense. It has come at the chagrin of Stephon Diggs owners, as it has been lackluster performance for about a month now. That quote unquote the triple stack with Josh Allen, James Cook, and Stephon Diggs not really working. Now, you may argue 36 and 8 points. That's well over 40 points between two players. It makes it up, but you can see even with that kind of production, when you have a player go zero, it can affect this type of game. That's what happens here. No notable big time plays. Devontae Parker, who goose egged you last week, it's a nice play, 9 points this week. That defense gets 14. Overall, it's 101 points. It's not a horrible showing. Just that it really comes down, I think, to A.J. Dillon not being able to produce any points for you, as Brauc able to get the win here, even with Trevor Lawrence back to his 15 points. But then, this, and we'll talk about this consistently in weeks, about week 15, and there's just some crazy nonsense football. We had over 7 of the top 10 running backs, you could argue top 15 running backs, if you want to add to this list, scored less than 5 points. Saquon Barkley, one of those people, and you're lucky that you're one of the owners who walks away with a win this week, Brauc, as a lot of people, it cost them around one win. Jaylen Warren gets back to his 11 points. Jalen Waddle we talked about, can we just get that copy paste of 3 kill usage? Absolutely gets what you need done. 28 points, 142 yards, and a touchdown. Zay Jones in your stack with the Jacksonville group, only 10, and Evan Ingram 6. So it wasn't a really big day. It was just enough to stave off Chandler here. Devon A-Chain, we talk about another one of these top-tier backs, getting just no points, 9 points, doesn't even find the end zone, 32 yards. If it wasn't for the passing, the little bit of passing he got, he wouldn't have even had the 9. Kansas City's defense 10, and Butker's your kicker 10, and that really kind of rounded things off. So a close matchup, but one where Brauc walks away the winner and will maintain that number one position to get the first choice of placement for picks in 2024. And Chandler, you knock down a rung on the ladder, but it's a chance to get back up into this matchup if you can get a win next week. Brauc looking to hold on in week 16. Game 2 of the consolation ladder was a familial matchup that featured number 12, Josh Johnson, taking on number 11, Forever Unclean, Jay Johnson, the shit demon himself. And Josh said, Mr. Jackson, not today, and staved off Jay. Was an absolute ass whooping, and unfortunately some lackluster production on your part, Jay, but it was almost all one player when it comes to Josh's team, as CMC puts a 40 burger up, and clearly at this point in time should have been the number one pick over anybody. I think if we were to redraft, mid-season, or even, let's call it like week 10, I think CMC would almost unanimously be the number one choice. Justin Fields does what we thought he'd do last week and doesn't even hit the double digits. We already talked about CMC. Jerick McKinnon, huge day here. 2 touchdowns, 16 points, great day. Lockett really lets you down. JSN gets a late score in a game that gives Seattle a win. It really makes no difference to you, but sure made a difference to other people. Don't worry, we'll talk about it. Hawkinson 12, Devonta Smith 10, and at the end of the day, it's 125 points. Now, you're down to like 85 points if you lose the CMC matchup. I mean, now granted, even if he scores half this, you're going to win the game. But yeah, no 40 points. This puts it within 2 points. And Jay, just you have a goose egg. Unfortunately, Dalton Kincaid not getting any looks in this very run-heavy game where Buffalo got big. Lamar Jackson, he really hits 20 points. It's an interception, so it's 18 at the end of the day. It's not a horrible game, but it's not the production that you drafted him to be. And in a game that you knew would be close, you needed him to put up a bunch of points, just not happening. Joe Mixon's okay, 15-point day, gets in the end zone. Javonte Williams, don't even get me started on how bad Denver looked against Detroit. I mean, absolutely shut down. Justin Jefferson had a great day, just doesn't find the end zone. Michael Pittman, vicious hit, gets taken out of the game. Looks like he'll be okay. Just 11 points, though, and an absolute, one of the very few hits in the NFL where you will hear me agree that was somebody, that was a hit that somebody needed to be kicked out of the game for. Jacoby Myers, he started off the week so well. I thought after that Thursday night game, I was like, man, Jay is going to put the points on Josh. It just doesn't end up being the case. Detroit 8 and Micah Manus goes negative. It just didn't align for you, and you'll fall down a rung on the ladder. Jay, a little closer to becoming Forever Unclean. I think if you can get at least one more win in the next 2 weeks, that won't be the case. Josh gets to go up around and get a chance for a top 3 pick in 2024. Game 3 of the consolation ladder was one of the 2 closest games that we had. Literally, I mean, you'd have to go into hundredths of a point to separate this game and the game I ended up having with Jordan. Nevertheless, it's 0.4 of a point to keep things simple, and it is a win. It's a 100-point win, Luke, in a game that it was close. Something needed to have happen, and you were going to lose this game, but no, the fantasy gods were like, it's okay, Luke, we've had enough of that. You've reached a point where you deserve a 100-point win, and here we go, 109.96 to 109.5. Evan, it's disappointing. I kind of talked about it like in the fact that if Luke gets a win, it's almost like justice, and the fact that you put 100 points on him, and you don't. Well, you're one of the few few people who puts 100 points on him and doesn't score. How disappointing is that? It does knock you down around, which that's not good given your position. We'll talk about that here in a moment, but we'll start with you, Luke. Jordan Love, 17 points, does what you need to do. Aaron Jones gets 10. I mean, at this point in time, you're going to take it, right? Jamar Chase out for what's probably the rest of the year. He manages to get 10 points before it does. I mean, if he doesn't, you lose the game. Amon St. Brown, huge day against Denver's defense. 24 points, saves your day. We talked about Jordan Reed, how significant he's been at the end of the year for you. 17 points. I mean, that's the majority of where your point total comes from. But everyone goes positive. Everybody scores over 4 points or better, your kicker being the 4-point player. So almost everyone's scoring almost 10 points. So it's 109 points. It's a win. It's what it needs to do to get you up the ladder. That's the whole point in ladder matches. Get up the ladder. Get as high as you can. And Evan, unfortunately, you're going to fall this week, and Patrick Mahomes let you down again. And in a weird game where he didn't play well, but they were just dominating New England. There was 2 interceptions. Now, obviously, one of them wasn't his fault. Tooney, yet again, just bouncing balls around, deflected balls. I guarantee you somebody won't be with New England next year. I would be very hard-pressed if Kadarius Tooney found a team to play for next year. I guess if you're desperate, you're desperate. Alvin Kamara, another solid day. Unfortunately, doesn't find the end zone. If he did, you'd win the game. 16 points before then, though. Gus Edwards, my God, falls into the end zone. It comes after a vicious injury to Keaton Mitchell, and he hyperextended his knee. It was like, I saw it happen real time, and I immediately was like, oh, that guy's done. And, they didn't show the replay, but Aaron Grog, co-commissioner Aaron Grog, provided us with the picture. That was nasty to watch. I didn't see Will Levis's injury, which was pretty nasty too, but I'm sure we will before the week is out. Nevertheless, it helps Gus Edwards fall in the end zone and almost makes a difference here. Chris Godwin, that's the Chris Godwin you drafted. 25 points, doesn't find the end zone, but gets 10 receptions for 155 yards. OBJ, much like all the Ravens wide receivers, just completely letting all fantasy managers down. Absolutely disgusting. Pat Freiermuth gets banged up in this game, but before he does, 4 points. Jerry Jeudy, 10. Again, no touchdown. That's just the thing right there. No touchdowns, and it almost seemed like lackluster touchdowns for a lot of fantasy teams this week. San Francisco, the defense, and Tucker, the kicker, 12. Like I said, it's the worst loss that you can have. It's a high-scoring, close point loss, less than half a point. And unfortunately, at the end of the day, as many of us are having to deal with this morning, somebody's got to win, somebody's got to lose. And this week, even with the justice aside, at the end of the day, there is no justice in fantasy. Nothing is given to you. Everything is taken from you in fantasy. And so Gilby walks away with a big win to get up the rung. And Evan, dangerous matchup coming in week 16. We'll talk about it momentarily. The last game of the consolation ladder is, of course, the first round of Forever Unclean, which featured number 16, Dustin Warren, taking on number 15, Brennan Scala. And unfortunately, Brennan, I don't know how, but a lot of people were wondering, those in the chat who, maybe you didn't see what I posted or that Aaron was inquiring. Maybe, Brendan, you do watch, you just don't watch it all. I don't know. But yes, I reached out, I talked to Brennan, and, just a couple things to keep in mind real quick, and that is, it doesn't matter if we were playing for nothing in the consolation ladder. We here in Fantasy League of Ordinary Gentlemen expect that you play 17 weeks of fantasy football, and this isn't a scold on Brennan. It's just expectations that we hold to every single person. I'm a good example this week. Especially when you're in the championship bracket and you're not going to finish in the top 3, you're just positioning. You don't even get to choose your pick for next year like you do in the consolation ladder. So even harder for those people to continue the year, and you have to, and that's the expectation, that 17 weeks of fantasy football, you're committed, you're playing, you're setting a lineup. So Brennan told me he was under the impression that he was done. There was nothing to play for. If you'd listened to what I say for the last 16 weeks, you'd know that there is plenty to play for in the consolation ladder. You don't want to be forever unclean. You don't want to wear a dress. You don't want to march all up and down public. You don't want to have the trophy with toilet paper and a toilet in your home that people have to come in and ask you every time they see it, good God, what is this monstrosity? And you have to explain to them how much of a piece of shit in fantasy you are. You don't want to be treated like a piece of shit. You don't want to smell like a piece of shit. Look what we've done to Jay all year, and this isn't even the worst thing we've done. I would probably say that the year Ricky was forever unclean was probably the most just vicious shit talking on a person in fantasy I have ever seen in my entire fantasy career. It was nasty. You just have to be here to understand how bad it was. Nevertheless, I'm getting away from the matches. It is a big win. Dustin, don't want to take anything away from you, sir. A win is a win, and it came when you had someone goose egg you, and you still put up 110 points. This is a good showing. This is something that you need to hold your head up high and say, okay, I got 1 week here. Can I get one more out of it? And if even if I ended up in the Forever Unclean matchup in week 3, which is right now still a possibility for Brennan and Dustin, at least you can put up 110 points. So we'll start real quick. Not a lot to talk about. Devontae Adams, 24 points. Big day of market. We talked about it. The wide receiver core was going to make a difference in this game. It sure did, Dustin. Cole Kmet, there he is again with those, easily your best draft pick, I think, of this year was Cole Kmet. I mean, he has been an all-star for you all year. Scary Terry, 26 points. Huge game, and that's where it came from. It's all the wide receiving core. Other than that, nobody scored over 8 points. And so 24, 20, 13, and 26, all from receiving players. 110 saves your day. Brennan, even if you put in bench players, this is where I'm like, okay, it wouldn't have made a difference. Week 1, if you do the math, that's why I'm not too upset with the way things went. You could have put in another quarterback. You could have put in one of your wide receivers and what have you that were on your bench. It wouldn't have made a difference. You wouldn't have scored over 80-ish points. So in a game where even putting your bench players doesn't matter, you lose this game, so you knew you were going to stay in this matchup. Now, moving forward, we've already talked about it. We're good. Just set your lineup, and, going to need some luck and hopefully some production, especially when you look at Najee Harris and DeAndre Swift. It was a rough week again, but need some production to help you get out of this what will be the second round of Forever Unclean. And Dustin, got to get another win. Don't want to be back in the Forever Unclean match in round 3. So there you go, guys. There is the overview of the consolation ladder winners and losers. And like I said, you're going to move up and down the rung. So in this case, Brauc stays where he's at. Chandler's going to move down. Jay's going to move down. Josh moves up. Luke moves up. Evan moves down. Dustin comes up. Brennan stays where he's at. That'll give you an idea of who you're going to play in week 16. We'll talk about it momentarily. Just, there's the overview of where you get, and things start to really change. Now you're going to see in round 2 that you have matches that are not as even as this round. They definitely get a little tougher for the people sitting down at the bottom. Now we move on to the championship bracket, where everything's on the line, trying to win the trophy, the money, the bragging rights. So much on the line, so much hard work, blood, sweat, tears, and emotion. Everything pretty much went chalk except for one upset, but we'll start with what was the game 1 of the championship bracket. That was number 5, Aaron Krog, taking on number 4, Austin Allen. This game, a high-scoring game, super high-scoring, but unfortunately for Aaron Grog, it's one of those weeks where you surely think with 127 points you're going to win, and Austin Allen absolutely puts the largest point total of week 15 on the co-commish, 142 points. It is an absolute shellacking, and unfortunately, Aaron, will start with you. No Tariq Hill. Thought he might play. Just wasn't going to happen. That ankle too injured. Matthew Stafford has an okay day here, 18 points, but then Breece Hall gets stifled. I will say Kyron Williams gets 24, which arguably, can make up for a little bit of Breece Hall's work. But in a game where apparently you were going to need to score 150, you needed all hands on deck. It wasn't going to happen. Calvin Ridley, subpar day, even with no Christian Kirk. Just, we knew that matchup with Baltimore was going to be tough. I don't know how, with no CJ Stroud, no Tank Dell, no Nico Collins, Noah Brown is able to help the Houston Texans beat the Tennessee Titans and scores 22 points. I'm absolutely flabbergasted with what happened in this game. It made no sense, but Noah Brown keeps you in the run here. We talked about Mayer, the tight end, 13 points, falls into the end zone. What a crazy game that the Las Vegas Thursday night with the Chargers. I mean, I was right. The Chargers are horrible and got shut out, but my God, I didn't expect every person on Las Vegas's team to score, and that their backup quarterback would, vie for potentially breaking most touchdowns in an NFL game. My God. Miami's defense scores 22 points. Everybody goes positive. It's a great day. It's a day you love the production. You absolutely hate the outcome. Very frustrating. 142. Jake Browning matches Matthew Stafford. Crazy, even after throwing an interception. David Montgomery and Singletary have a huge day here, 21 and 10 points. It's over 30 points between two players. I mean, great at least when you talk about running backs this week. T. Higgins goes off. 22 points. The stack absolutely does what it needs to do for you in this game, Austin. Brandon Ayuk, subpar day. Not great. I mean, Deontay Johnson sitting on Jordan's bench scores 16 points. Njoku, another 20-point day. Njoku's the fifth best tight end on the year now. Absolutely mind-blowing to me. Demario Douglas, 6 points. It's not been the kind of year that you and I thought we had after you made the trade, so really just subpar. It doesn't matter. Las Vegas, you open up the week. I knew that things weren't going to go the co-commission's way when the Las Vegas's defense put up, at one point they were up to 31 points. And that was insane. They dropped down to 26 at the end of the day, but any week where one person, it doesn't matter the position, when one person puts up 30 points, it is such a hard thing to overcome, because you think that if everyone else, does their job, I mean, you're going to score into the high hundreds. Exactly what happens. So Austin Allen, the number 4 seed, no upset here, punches his ticket into the semifinals and leaves co-commissioner Aaron Grog out in the cold for Christmas this playoff season. The second game of the championship bracket was an extremely close game, and we talked about it was an upset as number 8 Jordan Payne was able to knock off the number 1 seed, your commissioner, myself, final boss, and it was absolutely close. 0.4 points, 103.82 to 103.48, and this was just an insane week, man. I mean, I'm trying not to rant too much on my own game compared to everyone else's game, but it's really hard not to when you have a game that happens like this. We'll start with Jordan, and it's like the island of misfit toys over here. You just waiver wired and waiver wired and waiver wired, and somehow come up with a lineup that beats my team. I don't even know. Drew Lock. And I almost want to talk about Drew Lock last, but it doesn't matter, I guess. Drew Lock, you don't even know who's going to start for Seattle. They don't know who's going to start. We're watching the most incredible fantasy news. I cannot even remember, if ever, that I've seen that an active starting player is available and going to start, but is not going to start, and that another player is the backup is going to start. It is crazy. So you don't even know who you're going to start minutes before the game, and you start it. You're like, you get some news. It was not a guarantee, and it's like, well, we think Drew Lock's going to start, so okay. And it's like, well, you really are just flipping a coin. Gino could walk out, start the game, and you're done right there. Okay, so Drew Lock does nothing with a minute and 50 seconds left in the game on Monday night, has 5 points, and manages to go 92 yards and score a touchdown on Philly to not only win the game for Seattle, but win the fucking game for you. Unheard of, unbelievable, makes no sense. Statistically improbable, okay? Austin Eckler does exactly what I need to do. 7 points, horrible day, gets shut. I mean, again, we talked about how bad the Chargers were and how crazy that game in Las Vegas got. I mean, there was nothing happening for the Chargers unless you're just Justin Palmer, apparently, Zamir White, who is coming in for a banged up Josh Jacobs, has a 17-point day. Unbelievable. No one, you guys who need running backs, you guys in the consolation ladder or at the top of the waiver wire who need running backs, can't pick up Zamir White. You got to let you got to let Jordan pick all of his backups, every backup. I don't understand how you end up playing all these backups and you win. Unbelievable. DK Metcalf does nothing. He gets less than his average. And yet, at the very end of the day, he has 4 points. He has 4 fucking points, and then walks away with 3 huge receptions for 50 yards to help you win this game. Unbelievable. With nothing, does nothing. I have a 16-point lead with a minute and 55 seconds to go in a Monday Night Football game. 16 points, and I still lose. Puka Nacua, 10 points. Had a drop pass that could have really changed that. Could have had a touchdown. Everybody's tight end. If you go and look at my people who played the tight end against me the last 3 weeks, 20 points from Trey McBride against San Francisco. Over 100 yards, 10 receptions. What's happening? Hollywood Brown, nothing. Rondell Moore, nothing. Michael Wilson, nothing. Trey McBride, 20 points. The rest of your team does nothing. Jerome Ford, nothing. 7 points. The Rams defense, 8. Hopkins, 8. Nothing. It is astronomically amazing that you win this game on a game where I'm rolling out everybody. I am pretty much ready to go. I grant losing Justin Herbert and losing Keenan Allen really changed my day. I mean, Keenan Allen is averaging over 21 points a game. So there's 20 points not on my score if you go off average, which we would all do. Okay. If you can consider that Brock Purdy's putting up as many points or more than Herbert, then I got my 20-25, obviously, from Brock Purdy. But then Arthur Smith, and let me tell you right now something. Arthur Smith should be fired yesterday. And no surprise coming from me, but this is a guy who knew what was happening. This is a man who is targeting the game of fantasy football. In general, this is a guy who would rather put his job on the line and lose to the worst team in the NFL, loses to Carolina because he would rather prove a point to people who he doesn't like and people who criticize him and fantasy managers as a whole. This dude knew that it was the first round of the fantasy football playoffs, and it was like, I'm going to have, as a fuck you, I'm going to have fucking Bijan Robinson blocking on touchdowns that Cordell Patterson will score. And I get in standard foot, we used to be a standard league. You score negative. He goes negative. At least I got some semblance of points as Bijan Robinson gets 4 points. If he doesn't fumble the fucking football, I win this game. Okay, but nevertheless, where's all the usage, Arthur Smith, you stooge? Derrick Henry has 18 touches for less than 11 yards. If it wasn't for the couple of passes he gets, he doesn't get 5 points. We talk about running backs. Austin Eckler is one of these running backs we talk about who is a top-tier running back scoring nothing. 7 points. Derrick Henry, after scoring 18 points last week, gets a matchup with Houston and can't score but 5 fucking points. I have 2 top 10 running backs, and between the 2 of them, they don't score over 6 points. It's a joke. What kind of sick fucking joke is that? Zay Flowers, who scores over 20 points, is on fire, has gone double digits for 3 weeks in a row, can't in a game where Lamar Jackson passes for 1 fucking touchdown, and nothing. Zay Flowers, 1 reception for 7 yards. Killing me. If it was, and Rashee Rice comes in and saves the whole back half of my team saves my day. Rashee Rice, 91 yards, touchdown, 24 points. Isaiah Likely, thank God, keeps in pace with Trey McBride, gets into the end zone, 18 points. A.J. Brown, lackluster day. Just absolutely projected, averaging 18 and a half points, projected 17 points, gets 10, 5 receptions for 56 yards. Unreal. And then they Philadelphia allows their secondary. That's what just more is mind-blowing to me in this game, is that James Bradberry, let me tell you that when your excuse in the post-game commentary is, oh, he just ran past me. Dude, they burned you all night. And it wasn't even all night, Bradberry. It was at the very end of the game with 1 minute and 55 seconds. They're just running past you all night. You can't stop DK Metcalf. You can't stop JSN from getting... They had to go 92 yards. I have a 16-point lead, and fucking Drew Lock and DK Metcalf have to go 92 yards, and they do it, and it gives you less than a half a point lead to win the game. Mind-blowing. Jordan, you're just fucking Mike Gundy in Oklahoma State over here. It's like you've got your 8 fucking wins. You made it to the playoffs. Just fuck off. That's all you need to do. Fuck off. And you get to look cool. I'm a rookie. I had a great year. I made it into the playoffs. But no, does the team who dominates all year get to go deservingly into the semifinals? No, because there's no committee here in Fantasy League of Ordinary Gentlemen to be like, well, it doesn't matter that you won, Jordan. You don't deserve to go. You're not the better team. So, no, I get to fucking sit here with a t-shirt and a bag of chips and my dick in my hand while you, 8 and 6, 8 seed get to go with the number 2 seed makes it, the number 3 seed makes it, the number 4 seed makes it. The only one who isn't there by rights is the number 1 seed. It's me. But no, Jordan fucking Payne, number 8, this fucking .4 win. His Island of Misfit Toys team wins. Fuck me, dude. Oh, Goose Fraba. With that being said, Jordan, congratulations. It goes back to what I said about Luke and Evan. There has to be a winner. There has to be a loser. This is a hard one to swallow. I'm not going to lie. Congratulations is definitely due, sir. I think you're one of the higher end owners. That's not a slight to anybody. I think everyone here is extremely, extremely talented. I mean, the standings dictate that. Uh, but Jordan, you put up a fantastic year. It's a huge win when it matters. So congratulations to you, sir. I wish you luck in the semifinals, wherever that takes you. But you don't fucking deserve to be there, you piece of shit. We've spent enough time on this game. Let's go on to game number 3. Game 3 of the championship bracket was a blowout. It turned out to be, as number 7 Aaron Felch came up against the Grand Wizard number 2 Forrest Dozier. And Aaron, you controlled this game for the vast majority. I mean, at one point in time, you had a 16-point lead going into Monday night against the Grand Wizard. But he's hard of the cards for a reason. And even starting the 2 tight ends. Somehow, somebody who starts 2 tight ends and is the number 2 seed gets into the semifinals. Aaron, Will Levis started to have a really good day. And he has, again, I didn't see what happened to his ankle. Apparently, it was very vicious. I'm sure we'll see it in the chat before too long. 14 points. That's better than really he has been. So even before he goes out, okay. It just would have been interesting to see had he had a good day. James Conner, monster day, 86 points and a touchdown, 17 points. Love to see it. Even in a which I think was a rough game for the running game. Rachaad White had a great day, 21 points. The volume. That's where Rachaad White really is coming through, week in, week out, is with the volume. CeeDee Lamb, 18 points, Great point total there, 53 yards and a rush touchdown. Cortland Sutton, unfortunately, doesn't find the end zone this week, but still gets 12. Tyler Higbee, 7, and this is, Garrett Wilson. There's the problem. Let you down, no 20 points. Bad day against Miami, completely shut out. Green Bay's defense doesn't do anything for you. McPherson, the kicker, 9. It's just bad week. I mean, he still even put up 108 points, man. And, you just think that's not enough, especially against the Grand Wizard. And I will say, Forrest, you're coming into this game banged up. No Alexander Madison, no Nico Collins. I mean, this is what I'm talking about. I mean, I'm fully ready to go. I lose Keenan Allen and Justin Herbert. My God. And I couldn't put up 121 points. I mean, fuck you, Arthur Smith, okay. But Jalen Hurts has a huge day, even while dealing with an injury. Does have 2 turnovers. Of course, the late one, just a late throw up, trying to get the ball down the field to A.J. Brown, who, of course, they give an interception to somebody who didn't intercept the ball, so hey, that's fine. It's fine. Fuck Joe. He doesn't deserve that. Raheem Mostert, 2 touchdowns, 18 points, big day. Keenan Gainwell was a touchdown, boomer bust player. He's able to get 2 points, doesn't make a difference in this game at all. Debo continuing to do round 1 first draft pick things. Jordan Addison, even better, 29 points, 2 touchdowns, over 111 yards. Didn't matter who was quarterbacking in the game. Ferguson gets a solid double-digit 10. Dallas Goedert, I mean, you'll get 7, considering what you were dealing with flex-wise, you're happy to have it. Atlanta's the defense, 8 points, and Dicker, the kicker, 3. I mean, all the work was done by 3 players, but it was enough. It was enough to get you a win. It's a big win, sends you into the semifinals, continuing to have the best year of your life. And now, at least statistically speaking, the best chance to win it all. Can you keep it going? And unfortunately, much like co-commissioner and commissioner, you're joining us, Mr. Felch, for that bag of chips and a T-shirt section of the championship bracket. The last game of the championship bracket was not as close as we thought it might be for a game of the week. It actually was a low-scoring game, and in the rematch that was number 6, Jack Little Raven, taking on number 3, Derek Ash, a game that came within 5 points last week of Derek losing. It's a low point win, and Derek, you kind of get off lucky that Jack couldn't put up another 100 points. And an example of, when you start 2 tight ends, it doesn't go your way. And, that wasn't the case for Forrest, but I would say there were some other issues that hit you, Jack, in this game. Obviously, lack of production from players that you thought you could count on. Welcome to the club, my friend. Welcome to the fucking club. And what was a crazy week 15 first round. My God. Dak Prescott, we'll just start there. Dak Prescott, 6 points. I mean, you've been able to count on this guy for 25, 30 points for the last 5 weeks. And here he can't even get 10. Zeke, I'll take the 9 points. You can't expect that you were going to get 20 points every week, especially against a tough Kansas City defense. Unfortunately, Zach Moss, at least he gets into the end zone before he gets a hand injury, out for the game. So it was looking like it was going to be a 20-point game. And even Trey Sermon I think Trey Sermon got like 8, 9 points. So yeah, you were heading towards that 20-point game. Mike Evans does what you needed him to do last week, gets the 15 points, gets into the end zone. Wan'Dale Robinson goes positive 6 points. Okay, and then here the 2 tight ends. It's going to be the roller coaster with any tight end, and unfortunately, this was a week where instead of getting the 20 and 18 points, you get both that they have average tight end days. At the end of the day, Travis Kelce and George Kittle are just tight ends, and that's why 7 points apiece. That's why I do not invest in them. And I played Isaiah Likely, who I picked up off the waiver wires 3 weeks ago, and I scored 18 points. I mean, so very, very careful who you invest tight end wise. Dallas's defense, who was phenomenal last week, comes in and goes negative, which is hilarious because so does Derek's. I mean, usually we do a point swing and it's a 4-point swing, but it's all negative pointage. So nothing going on defensively for either one of you guys, and your kicker 70 points, Jack. It's just not enough to get a win, especially in the playoffs. And I will say it almost was. I mean, it was really, really close. Derek, I'm not trying to take any, importance of your win. You survive a really, really, really tough week round 1 playoff matchup, and you're able to get into the semifinals. Congratulations. But 86 point ain't going to cut it, brother, and you know that. And again, being one of the we talked, what did I talk about last week? That usually the top 4 teams are much more consistent in scoring than just about anybody in the league. And you saw, Austin puts up 140, Forrest puts up 120. Even when I have 2 players score, my top 2 running backs score less than 6 points between the 2 of them, I put up 103 points. And you're coming in here scoring 117-ish. You were right there with me, 117 points. I'd have to go and look up the average. But you're right there with everyone else, and you score 86. So, Sam Howell proving not the play to be 8 points. Tony Pollard 7. I mean, Gibbs. I mean, this is where this and Laporta change the outcome of your day. 24 points, 2 whole offensive touchdowns for Gibbs. DJ Moore down to earth, 9 points. Jahan Dotson 2. Turns out to be a huge Curtis Samuel day. And Laporta goes off again. I cannot even tell you how many fantasy managers owe where they are in the championship of whatever playoff they're playing, whatever area semifinal. There's some people who played early final. Maybe it's just a quarterfinal. I don't know where you're at, but I guarantee you there's several people who are still in it because of Sam Laporta, and is, on pace. I think will be arguably, if not the number 1 tight end ranked next year, will be number 3. 3 or better. That's what I'm going to say. We talked about it. Keaton Mitchell, before hyperextending the knee, gets 10 points. If he doesn't, man, this becomes another 5-point game, one that you're still winning. We already talked about the negative defense. Chris Boswell goes 0, and you still win. Derek, you got lucky, but better lucky than good. Jack Little Raven, you join the likes. Yes, come down to where we have potato chips and horrible t-shirts. Oh, it's a rough week, boys and girls. Let me tell you, for the vast majority of us that aren't, of course, the top four. But seriously, congratulations on all of the owners who got a win in round one. Congratulations to our semifinalists. And, it's just going to be harder and more heartbreak. Who can punch their ticket into the championship? Who can get into the last round to get the first pick of their choice, I should say, of 2024, who will end up in the Forever Unclean round 3. There's going to be more heartbreak on the horizon. And with that in mind, let us check out week 16. So let's check out that consolation round 2 matchups. And as you can see, gentlemen, you just move up and down the rungs of a ladder. The nice thing about being in round 2 is if you're in the top half of the consolation ladder, you don't have to worry about becoming forever unclean. So Brauc Hudgens, Josh Johnson, Chandler Taylor, Luke Gilbertson, no worries of finding yourself in that third round Forever Unclean matchup. Obviously not the case for the bottom half of the consolation ladder, as Jay Johnson, Dustin Warren in that 11-16 matchup, and Evan Coles, Brennan Scala in the 13-15 matchup. A loss will send you to that third round matchup. And, the one thing, Jay and Evan, you're not a 3-11 team, so you surely don't want to be in that matchup. You would think that would not be the case. However, I've seen crazier things happen. So at the end of the day, Dustin got to find another win. Jay hoping to avoid another loss. Evan, it was a 0.4. Talk about 0.4 losses that put you in a situation you don't deserve to be in. Welcome to the club, sir. Trying to find a win. Brennan Scott got to score more than 50 points this week to get you away from that round 3 Forever Unclean matchup. Don't want to wear the dress. Don't want to parade in public. Don't want to have to change your name. Don't want to be a piece of shit. All those things. We talked about it. So let's break down these round 2 consolation ladder matches. We're going to start with our first matchup, which will feature number 12, Josh Johnson, looking to come and take away that choice of draft pick for 2024, at least the first one, from number 9, Brauc Hudgens. And Justin Fields will get a nice matchup with Arizona for you, Josh. CMC taper expectations given the matchup with Baltimore. I don't think you're going to score 40 points. I don't even know if you're going to 20 points there. This is one you just hope that your players become matchup proof. Brian Robinson looking to make a return here, so Antonio Gibson will be your RB2, and against that Jets defense becomes boom or bust, touchdown dependent. Tyler Lockett and JSN, more so JSN. It was a lackluster game for Tyler Lockett, but you're going to need both of them to have production, and JSN's going to need to find the end zone to get a win here. Especially considering that Brauc runs the triple stack, and if that pays off, then you're going to be in a hole quick. And just just the rough having to go with two wide receivers from the same team there. Hawkinson, the tight end here, gets a matchup with Detroit. You saw how they handled the Denver last week. Unfortunately, you could use more than the 10 points that he has been getting recently. Devonta Smith gets the Giants. That's a juicy matchup. Should have a nice day. Jacksonville defense and Sanders, the kicker, again 113 on the projection. You have a 54% win chance here. Brauc, I'll say, I think you're dealing with some tough defenses, which shows for the lack of prediction in your score. Trevor Lawrence, who is still banged up, gets Tampa Bay, and what do you expect? 15 points at this point in time? He's looked rough, and the ankle clearly, I get, he's a tough guy, never missed a game, but at what cost to get, trying to keep Jacksonville's playoff hopes alive, but you're not going to be able to stay alive in the playoffs if you don't have a quarterback. Nevertheless, tough matchup against a Tampa Bay team that is playing for everything. You need Saquon Barkley to do better than 5 points, and Jaylen Warren, although I'd rather not start any Cincinnati player, Pittsburgh player against Cincinnati's defense. I mean, is Jalen Warren good for his 10 points? Okay, sure. Jalen Waddle, against Dallas, I would like to say that, you're not going to have this 30-point day. Now, I think Tyreek Hill will play. If he doesn't, then I even still, I don't know if you're going to see the production you did last week. I imagine Dallas, after being just waffle stomped, will want to play nasty, and they're going to come after Tua. And I don't know, man. I wasn't expecting the what happened last week with Jalen Waddle. So, man, maybe you can reproduce it again. And Dallas's defense has, been suspect lately. So, we'll see. Zay Jones, there's a big hole in your team. I didn't know that he was considered to miss time. However, still have him slotted, so that may change. May give you probably like 7-ish points, so maybe this comes up to 111, depending on who you end up bringing on, whether that's a waiver player, bench player, what have you. It could mean more productivity for Evan Ingram. Look at the tough matchups that gave tight ends great scoring last week, so could be in score for another big day, for Evan Ingram this week. Devon Achane, another running back that needs to show some production, also getting Dallas, so, tapering expectation here. Kansas City, the defense, and Butker, the kicker. Man, this is a tough one. I don't know that if swapping out Zay Jones would make that much of a difference in this game. I very much like the quarterback play for Josh a lot better. You both kind of are in a situation. I guess I'd pick Brauc's running back core, Saquon Barkley and Jalen Warren. I just like Jalen Warren more than Antonio Gibson, but I mean, CMC just has a tough matchup here. But Saquon Barkley gets Philadelphia, so I mean, their run defense is much better than the secondary that just allows Seahawks to score points and fuck you out of playoff situations. Yeah. Man, oh, this is going to be tough, and I think this is just one of those weeks where the matchups and maybe not having Zay Jones makes a difference, but something just tells me that I need to pick number 12, Josh Johnson, to get one over this week in round 2 on your Brauc. Sorry, bud. Prove me wrong here in week 16. Our consolation round 2, game 2 features number 14, Luke Gilbertson, taking on number 10, Chandler Taylor. And this game is projected to go in favor of Chandler Taylor. Now, Jamar Chase still slotted on your team, Gilby. We know he's not going to play, so obviously going to swap him out. Maybe you can get a maybe up to 100 points, but I imagine you're still going to be projected to lose this game. I will say at least Jordan Love gets Carolina, and I don't care that Arthur Smith can sell his team and fantasy people, best players, careers down the drain to prove a point. I don't think Green Bay will do that, so I think this matchup could be even better for Jordan Love than the prediction. Same with Aaron Jones, who should do better than 10 points this week. Travis Etienne, though, taper expectation, Tampa Bay. It's been rough lately. We talked about one of the running backs last week who didn't perform. I think in order to win this week, you are going to have to put up points with your running backs. And like I said, an unfortunate blow with Jake Browning actually playing well, that you lose Jamar Chase here. I'm on St. Brown. Great matchup against Minnesota. Hudson, tight end, gets Pittsburgh. Reed, Carolina. I mean, yeah, your triple stack here could be really, really nice given the matchups. And you don't, outside of Travis Etienne, you really don't have too many bad matchups. Minnesota, the defense, and Folk, the kicker. You may be, searching for a new defense this week, Gilby. We'll take on, Chandler's triple stack of Josh Allen, James Cook, Stephon Diggs. They get the Chargers. It's an even better matchup. I hate to say, Gilby, to your chagrin, but to the delight of Chandler, you've seen every team. You saw what Las Vegas did to the Chargers. I mean, much less the Buffalo Bills. I don't even know if I'm starting my Charger players. My God, I mean, literally, I even if I had made it to the next round in the semifinals, I don't know if I'm starting Keenan Allen, essentially in that matchup. So I don't know if I'm going to use him this week in my matchup. Nevertheless, it's a great situational play for your stack compared to what is still a good matchup for Gilby's stack. Could make the difference here. Stephon Diggs has got to produce though. That's the one thing. Stephon Diggs needs to not be held out. But I mean, this is one of those games that it could be another heavy running day, another get up quick and no need to pass to Stephon Diggs. It very well could be. Devontae Parker gets Denver. Okay, Kyle Pitts, Indianapolis, not great. Arthur Smith's just the one you have to worry about there. DeAndre Hopkins, wide receiver, gets Seattle. Should have a nice day there. We'll find out who's going to be at quarterback. I don't think it's going to be Will Levis. New Orleans defense, and you may be looking for a new defense this week, Chandler, as the Rams. Man, that's a tough matchup. And on a short week, I don't know if I'd be running New Orleans defense this week. Cairo Santos, my God, the kicker. It's right now 106 to 94. Like I said, once you change out your wide receiver, we imagine it's probably like 106 to 100. But Gilby, I really like this matchup between Buffalo and the Chargers. He does have a few tougher matchups than you do. Again, Travis Etienne, your only tough matchup here, but not to say that could go bad. I think that the Jamar Chase is going to be a big hole in your team, and you saw last week, it came real close. It might be another real close game this week, my friend, and it may be one where you take another 100-point loss, but give me Chandler Taylor to get a win and maybe a possible redemption in round 3 to get that number 1 pick in 2024. Prove me wrong, Gilby, and get another 100-point win. Get your 3 100-point wins here in the consolation ladder. Now we get down to the danger zone area of the consolation ladder where number 16, Dustin Warren, will take on the shit demon, number 11, Jay Johnson, Forever Unclean. And this one, whoever loses, we talked about it earlier, you will find yourself in the round 3 Forever Unclean matchup. And unfortunately, some very tough defenses for you this week, Dustin, and quite the opposite for Jay. And it looks like he could really put some numbers on you. It's a 24-point swing, at least prediction-wise. We'll start with you, Dustin, as Bryce Young will get Green Bay, and Green Bay's not a defense that you're scared of. You're just not, you're not enthusiastic about anything that Carolina could do. Even in a win over Atlanta last week, they put up no points. Miles Sanders and Brian Robinson, that's just the nice thing. You get Brian Robinson back. Devontae Adams, Amari Cooper, they were your saving grace last week. They have to do it again and Kansas City and Houston, man, we talked about it, tough defenses. But they carried you last week. They've got to do it again. Cole Kmet, Arizona. Now, that is a juicy matchup. And Cole, it's like one of those things, Cole Kmet's been so good, surely against a bad defense, he does well. But usually that opens up all the lanes for the other players. Still is a great matchup and has the potential for him to hit double digits again. Scary Terry tapering expectations, hit the Jets. I don't know if we're going to get a 24-point day again. Have Rissick, the kicker, and 94 points on your projection, Dustin. Not good. Not good, especially when Jay is coming in here projected over 118 points. Lamar Jackson gets San Francisco, so I will say I don't imagine he's going to run around, and this could be one of those 13-point weeks, man. Lamar Jackson, they're going to put Lamar Jackson in a situation where he's going to have to pass, and that has not been a forte this year as a whole. Joe Mixon, Javonte Williams, running backs 1 and 2, great matchups. Pittsburgh, New England, respectively, should have nice days. Justin Jefferson gets Detroit, and that should be, I think, a shootout. It could be a fun day, and he's not listed on any injury report, which has got to be the most comforting thing. Unfortunately, Michael Pittman and your tight end, Dalton Kincaid, both listed as questionable. Pittman's still slated to play. You're just monitoring that. Obviously going to have to bring in someone off the bench if he's unable to play, and maybe maybe bringing in Gerald Everett. It was a rough week last week, losing Dalton Kincaid, getting a goose egg, and really hindering any chance of trying to get a win. Jacoby Myers had a great week last week. Can it continue against Kansas City? That's really your toughest matchup outside of Lamar Jackson in San Francisco, at least for your, non-quarterback players. It is the toughest matchup. Detroit, the defense, and Micah Manus, the kicker. And yeah, I think this is well in hand. It's just a great situational matchup for your players and for you. A 60% on the projection. You are considered in the power rankings for the rest of the year to be one of the more dominant teams. I think last week got away from you. So definitely give me Forever Unclean Jay Johnson to get a win over cousin Dustin Warren. Now we get to Forever Unclean round number 2, the danger of the danger zone, as Brennan Scala, number 15, has got to find more than 50 points this week. We talked about it. Even if you played the people on your bench and whatnot, it wouldn't have made a difference. Dustin's 110 points. He would have walked away with the win anyway. So definitely have to do something to put a team together to change that this week. And Evan, tough. Again, we talked about it. I'm no stranger to the 0.4 loss circumstance. Not saying you deserve to be here, but this is where you find yourself. So need a win. And I hate to say, Evan, brother, not projected to win this game. It is super close. It's within 2 points, but the projection swing is 1% in favor of Mr. Scala, who will start with first as Danny DeVito. It's actually Tommy DeVito, but I've just much like everyone else make the mistake. Gets the Philadelphia defense, and you saw what Drew Luck could do, and I think that DeVito's better than Drew Lock. So why not run him on a flyer and see what happens? Maybe you can get some Jordan Payne shit magic going. Jonathan Taylor and Najee Harris, running backs 1 and 2. I sure loathe the Najee Harris play, especially considering the matchup with Cincinnati. It's not like I think Cincinnati has a great defense, but I mean, against that Pittsburgh running offense, I mean, it is just atrocious. And Jalen Warren's the better running back right now. I mean, clear. You'd really hope Jonathan Taylor plays. I do see his injury designation has been removed. He does get Atlanta, and they could be stingy. So, somewhat tapering expectations for running backs 1 and 2 here. Cooper Kupp gets New Orleans. You love that on a short week. George Pickens gets Cincinnati. So really, a lot going on in the Cincinnati-Pittsburgh game for you. And a game that, I mean, this could be a situation where, Pittsburgh's going to be behind. And so whoever's going to be passing, it could be a big Deontay Johnson week, but George Pickens could easily find himself with that 7-10 points. No problem. Taysom Hill, I didn't like the start last week, but Dalton Schultz has a horrible matchup this week. So yes, against a horrible Rams defense, start Taysom Hill and watch him find the end zone somehow, some way, doing non-tight end things. I actually believe it's a good start. DeAndre Swift gets the Giants. You love that matchup. Could be great here. Washington, the defensive play, great. Moody, the kicker. It's 105 on your projection, and you're right there with him. Evan, you just need a couple things to go your way, and the first thing you need to go your way is that Patrick Mahomes needs to have at least a 20-point day against Las Vegas. Can totally happen. You like this matchup. Alvin Kamara, Gus Edwards, running backs 1 and 2, and I'll say this. Alvin Kamara gets the Rams you love. No need to talk about that. But, with Keaton Mitchell being removed from the lineup now, and with a tough matchup against San Francisco, but Baltimore will still run heavy, and I think they'll just maybe run less with Lamar and more with the running backs. Gus Edwards, you're going to taper your expectation, but he can still have a decent day here. This 11 points is completely possible, and I can't believe on a week that I, lose with, Derrick Henry as my running back too. Had I had him last week, if I had Gus Edwards on my team, I would have won. It just the fantasy is a fickle bitch, man. I tell you what, Chris Godwin and OBJ running wide receivers 1 and 2, both questionable to play. Now looks like they're slated to play and be active, but on the injury report, you're gonna keep an eye on that. And Jacksonville, like the matchup with Godwin, but again, the San Francisco Baltimore game, it's gonna affect me. I have even more heavily invested in another league, so this could be, a big game determination, much like the Cincinnati-Pittsburgh game for Brennan here. Pat Freiermuth coming in as the tight end, and you may want to swap that out. I know he was listed as injured as well. I don't know if that has changed. I do see, at least right now, his injury designation does appear to be gone, but you just might want to monitor that. I do know he was on the injury list. Jerry Jeudy gets New England, so he actually might find the end zone instead of just running around like a chicken with his head cut off. San Francisco, the defense, and Justin Tucker, the kicker. This game is so close. I mean, we talk about anything within 5 points could go either way. It is a 50-50 choice, but I think I have faith that the what is the better team with the better record, surely Patrick Mahomes doesn't score 13 points again. Brennan, good job with the lineup this week. Just saying, it's a tough slate, situational matchup. I mean, Cooper Kupp's going to have to bail you out. I mean, maybe you bench Najee for someone else here. I will say, if neither one of your wide receivers plays Evan, that's going to be rough. But at least right now, as things stand, I think, against ESPN's slight projection here, give me number 13, Evan Coles, to get a win, and it will send Brennan and Dustin back into the round 3 Forever Unclean matchup, because that's who I think is going to be there. We'll take care of the consolation ladder round 2, and we can now move on to the championship consolation ladder round 2, and this is about as desolate as a place as it gets in the Fantasy League of Ordinary Gentlemen. As I said, everybody in the consolation ladder has multiple things to play for. Draft picks for 2024, not being Forever Unclean. I mean, there's something every week that you're in for competition for something. The championship ladder, you've got the trophy and money. Third place is still on the horizon. All that stuff. Great. Plenty to play for. This is, the Dead Sea. This is the Sahara Desert, where you are literally just going to end up with a position for next year, and you're not going to win anything. Like I said, it's fun of, potato chips and shitty t-shirts that you win for doing absolutely nothing but participating. So it's just one of those things. I will say the nice thing, I get a Christmas Day matchup with my best friend, Aaron Krog. That'll be fun. And if you know people like me who are heavily invested into fantasy, I'm going to be counting every point I get this week, because what happens if my team puts up points and I had more points than Austin, would I have gone to that championship? And then what happens in the round 3, would I have beaten Derek or Forrest, whoever wins that game in the championship? And I'm sure that Aaron will be doing the same thing. I forgot, both Aarons are in the consolation, so I'm sure Aaron Grog and Aaron Phelps will be doing that. I know Jack Little Raven will be doing that. I mean, it's really all you do, but what I am as sure of is the fighting spirit that will continue for the next 2 weeks. We don't give anything away here in Fantasy League of Ordinary Gentlemen. We fight into the last minute of every game. So 2 weeks left to go. Let's start off with that championship consolation ladder Game 1 matchup. Co-commissioner Aaron Krog taking on Commissioner Joe Johnson, and it is not even close. Much like I select you in the regular season, it's a prediction of 24 points. Again, no Tyreek Hill, probably not going to play, and I will say, if we played last week, you would have outscored just about everybody. You definitely would have outscored me. But that was last week, and this is this week, and it's Christmas time, and I believe I'm due for a little justice. Nevertheless, I am sure you're going to do everything in your power to keep any remaining joy that may be left in my heart away. It'll start with Matthew Stafford getting New Orleans, and on the short week, it's a good matchup, so it could be a nice day here. 18, 20 points. I mean, easily the 15 that he's projected here. Brees Hall and Kyron Williams, and juicy matchups. Washington the defense, New Orleans the defense. Yeah, this could be a high scoring game for just the top three start of your players. Gets a little tougher when it comes to the wide receiving core. Calvin Ridley gets Tampa Bay. Noah Brown gets Cleveland. Nico Collins also may be coming back. That could cut into Noah Brown. But Cleveland's number one defense. Tampa Bay stingy. So you saw Calvin really struggled last week. I can't imagine, other than the fact the volume needing to be there. So you just hope that Calvin Ridley in a tough matchup here is able to find that volume. Mayer will be the tight end again, but Kansas City, we talk about it, maybe that's actually pretty good. As tough of the defense, then it'll check down more to do the tight end. Rashid Shaheed, the boomer bust deep threat coming in against the Rams, could pay off. It's very possible. Clearly, the New Orleans Rams game is going to be a determining factor and how our match is going to go. Miami, the defense, I imagine you might want to change that considering they're playing Dallas, and I can't imagine Dallas playing as bad as they have the last couple weeks. Group A, the kicker, and god dang, how many is that from the New Orleans Rams game? 1, 2, 3, 4. Damn, half the damn team, 50% of your team. Yeah, really going to determine how things go in that game. But we'll see. I mean, I've got some tough matchups. It was going to be a tough semifinal matchup for me, no matter who I was going to play. Brock Purdy gets Baltimore, and if I had Justin Herbert, I guarantee you I'd be playing him against Buffalo, I think, over having to play San Francisco. I don't know. That's such a big what if now. Bijan Robinson and Derrick Henry, because fuck it, why not? Can't hurt me any more than you already have. But that's actually the best part of my day. Indianapolis and Seattle matchups, respectively, goes right back to getting tough. Keenan Allen, who I haven't even decided if I'm going to run Keenan Allen. Just everything is going wrong in LA for the Chargers. I mean, I think it's one of those things like, do you even start? Does Jordan even start Austin Eckler? I mean, you have to, because he's active, and he could get his 20 points. I have to start Keenan Allen because Palmer scored 21 points last week, so whoop-de-doo. A.J. Brown has got to do better than 10 points. Isaiah Likely against San Francisco. I need another 18-point day, my man. It's got to happen. He's been killing it. Rashee Rice, my deep threat, but has really taken over. I mean, he's being targeted more than Travis Kelce now. Great stash. I'm so glad I stash him. Gets a great matchup against Las Vegas. Cleveland's defense and Aubrey, the kicker. This isn't even close, Aaron. Thank you for rubbing my nose in all the nonsense this week. Simply to say, Merry Christmas. Get the fuck off my lawn. I'm looking forward to whooping you just because it's fantasy. We have 2 weeks left. It's Christmas time. And go fuck yourself. Go, hashtag fuck Aaron. I'm going to bring it back. All these rookies don't even understand. Hashtag fuck Aaron. Fuck you. You're playing. Fuck. The second game of the championship consolation ladder features number 7, Aaron Felch, taking on number 6, Jack Little Raven. This game also not very close, 14 points, and heavily projected right now in your favor, Mr. Felch. And, it was a really lackluster performing. Nothing went right last week, Jack. And at this point in time, roll out the two tight ends and see what happens. I think that this is going to be an interesting matchup, just in the sense that Aaron's got some just rando, like, when you look at his team, like, it's almost like the bad version of Austin's team. Like, I've put together all these people and it's not working out. Where Austin's like, I've put together all these people and I can score 130 points a week. So, Aaron Phelps, we'll start with you. You've got the projection to win, though. It's 114 on the projection, 56 win percentage, 13-point favor. Will Levis start? I mean, they said the injury was so gruesome that they couldn't start or show the replay of the injury to Will Levis. So I don't know how he's going to play, but I guess somehow he's able to pull it off. James Conner gets a great matchup against Chicago. I mean, Chicago's defense is kind of good, not really. I think he's just on fire. I think he should have a great week. It's just the offense for Arizona is just so out of sorts. Need the volume with White and against Jacksonville. Yeah, this could be a shootout game. I really just get the feeling this Tampa Jacksonville, Tampa Bay's got everything to play on. They're 7-7. Of course, Jacksonville trying to maintain their playoff positioning. So I think this game could really, really get into a high 30s for both teams. CeeDee Lamb has to have a good day against Miami. You need him to score 15, 20 plus points, really into the 20s, I think. Jack can put up points. Cortland Sutton's got to find the end zone against New England. Higbee gets a great matchup against New Orleans, I'll say that. Garrett Wilson, who fucked you last week, has got to have a great game. He's got a great matchup against Washington. It's just Washington's defense is going to play. I mean, they're going to play very good, and we know how much struggling is going on with the Jets. So you're just riding the roller coaster. Could be good, could be bad. It's a great matchup. You got to like that. Obviously, you're starting him. You have no choice. It is what it is. Green Bay, 2 weeks left to go, Aaron. 2 weeks left to go. Green Bay, the defense, and McPherson, the kicker. Like I said, you got the projection. It's projected to go in your favor. Jack, 101 on your projection. Dak Prescott gets Miami. I think it's, he can bounce back. I know it's been rough. Last week was deflating, but it's always good to end the year on a high note. The better you do, I like being towards the end of either the very, top three, bottom three is what I say when it comes to drafting. So, we're not going to get quite that close, but you can get a little closer, to the ends, if you will, of the drafting position for next year. So that's definitely what I'm trying to do. The more wins, the better that is. Ezekiel Elliott and Zach Moss, running backs 1 and 2. Denver and Atlanta, tough defenses. And Zach Moss still on the injury list, may not even play. So, keep that in mind. Mike Evans, Wan'Dale Robinson. And, Wan'Dale Robinson gets his Philadelphia matchup. So, like I said, why not, take the risk with DeVito. Take the risk with your New York wide receivers and see what happens, right? Because you just burned James Bradbury. He's going to run past me. Yeah. Okay, whatever. Mike Evans should have another nice week. Travis Kelce gets Las Vegas. It should be a great game. And then Kittle against Baltimore. I mean, this could be a big Kittle game. They could shut down Debo and Brandon Ayuk. I mean, there could be lots of checks down to George Kittle. This could be a big George Kittle game. But a great game. I mean, this may be one of the best games, if not the best game of all year between San Francisco and Baltimore. Dallas, the defense, got to do better than the -1. And Bass, the kicker, it's going to be close, man. You've got some tough matchups here, Jack. Definitely, the matchups clearly, obviously, in the projection favor Aaron Felch. You guys are ranked right there next to each other. This is almost like a round one consolation ladder matchup where, you're 7-6. You're right there next to each other. So this could really go either way. But I will say I like the running back. I don't like the quarterback play. You may be even playing another quarterback, Aaron. But the running back play is better. I think I don't like Mike Evans more than CeeDee Lamb, but I like CeeDee Lamb and Cortland Sutton more than Evans and Wan'Dale Robinson. Oh, man, the two tight ends outclass Higbee and Garrett Wilson. You know what, Jack? It didn't pay off for you in the round one, but you know what's going to pay off for you here in round two? Give me number 6, Jack Little Raven and his 2 tight ends to get a win here in round two in the championship consolation ladder. That'll take us to what we've all been waiting for here in week 16, which is our semifinal matchups. You can see that we will have a rookie in the championship matchup no matter what, as number 8, Jordan Payne, will take on number 4, Austin Allen. And then we will have a veteran in the playoffs, the championship round, as number 3, Derek Ash, will take on number 2, Forrest Dozier. First of all, congratulations to all 4 of these owners to making it this far. Takes lots of dedication, hard work, little bit of luck, to make it this far. And, we look at teams like Jordan Payne who don't deserve to be in the semifinals. We don't have a committee that decides the merit of a team. So in this case, the team that deserves to go to the semifinal, we don't have a way to get them in. It's just actually what happens when you win or lose matches that determines how successful you are here. In this case, Jordan finds himself in this semifinal matchup. Let's break it down. Like I said, number 8, Jordan Payne, taking on number 4, Austin Allen, and this game within 2 points, basically a 50-50 percentage on winning. It's right down the middle. Jordan, you're projected 112 points. Geno Smith, at least for now, is going to be listed as your starter. Gets a nice matchup with Tennessee. We'll see if you're even able to start him. I saw the Mullins pick up, so good at least flex play streaming play that you could have this week. Austin Eckler, Josh Jacobs, running backs 1 and 2. Josh Jacobs still listed as questionable, but slated to be active. Tapering expectation with Austin Eckler. I mean, he couldn't get it going last week, and gets Buffalo this week. So, you get your 5 points and be happy. DK Metcalf, who saved you last week, can he save you again in a matchup with Tennessee? It's at least a good matchup. Puka Nacua gets New Orleans here, and a chance for some of the trade revenge, much like when I had my matchup with Austin, to come into effect here. I don't see Deontay Johnson slated to play in this game, but I mean, they do have a pretty good matchup. You may consider starting him. I understand, though, the wide receiver woes when it comes to trying to decide. Trey McBride gets Chicago. Can it be another 20-point day? I think you're going to need it to be in order to beat Austin here. Darren Waller coming in, and are you really going to run 2 tight ends, Jordan, after actually getting past me in the first round? You're going to cock it up by running 2 tight ends? I didn't even notice this when I got the images. Are you serious? Oh my God, I swear to God, you beat me. There's no reason that I believe you shouldn't be going to a championship game and you're going to hand it over to Austin by playing 2 tight ends. My God, you just dropped 10 points in charisma in my book. Jesus Christ. Denver, the defense, and D-Hop, the kicker, coming in. Are you really, Jordan? Buddy, you better change that. This better just be a joke or something to throw me off on the episode. I don't know. Austin, I talk about last week, Jordan wavering his way to success, being the island of misfit toys. If it's really someone who's the island of misfit toys, it's you. Given the fact, if you look at an overall season long picture, the big picture, the people you've lost and how you've had to make every waiver pickup, and it's like everything is worked out. I mean, how is Jake Browning scoring 18 points a game? How is Njoku, especially looking at where he was at the beginning of the year, scoring 27 points a game? Devin Singletary was irrelevant. I mean, I understand why Jay dropped him going into a bye week where, I mean, he hadn't scored, over 4 or 5 points. I have to go into it and look at it, but it was pathetic. It was bad. It was like, okay, you pick him up, and all of a sudden it's the golden touch. going off. Can score 20 points a game if he needs to. So, crazy. Like we said in fantasy, you need some luck. You've definitely both of these you fucking rookies and your fucking 1 year one luck. We'll see what happens in your sophomore slump next year, motherfuckers. I digress. Just angry pent up ginger man right now. Jordan, I could have been somebody. I could have been a contender. Instead, I'm just some bum. We'll break it down, Austin. Jake Brown, we just talked about having a great, stretch to the end of the year, we would say. Against Pittsburgh, great matchup. Isaiah Pacheco still listed as injured, questionable, but a nice matchup against Las Vegas. You've seen the productivity with McKinnon and CEH. Can you get some of that going this week? David Montgomery, great matchup against Minnesota. You've been able to put up double-digit points with them. That trade's really worked out for you in that sense. T. Higgins with no Jamar Chase. I think with the way Brennan's playing, your stack is looking really, really good. No Joe Burrow, no problems, right? Brandon Ayuk, who will get the revenge game against Jordan, against Baltimore. Taper expectations, though. Can Njoku score another 20-ish points against Houston? It's a tough matchup. Your matchup's starting to really defensively pick up here. Singletary gets Cleveland. I would be very surprised if he even hits the 13 points, 10 points. I would be very, very surprised. Cleveland's defense, obviously number one defense in the league. Chicago, your defensive play. Elliott, the kicker. Projection 115 to 112. Like I said, it's 50-50. It's within 2 points. This could go either way. But Jordan, I was going to pick, I was sitting here thinking like Jordan's just going to win this game again, but you're starting 2 tight ends, and unless you change that, I'm not changing my position. So right now, as it is, not even a second thought. Give me number 4, Austin Allen, to punch his ticket into the championship round. And who will he play? Let's check it out in Game of the Week.
I'm ready.
Oh, yeah. Wubba lubba dub dub.
Bam!
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
And that's right, Derek Ash, you are in Game of the Week again. I've lost count. Is that 6 games of the week? 7 now in a row? Actually, I think it's 6. Game of the Weeks in a row. The tough matchups don't stop coming. And you're just in a Smash Mouth song, right? You get number 2, Forrest Dozier, the Grand Wizard, and I could not have, again, if you told me with Deebo Samuel being the number 1, first round, 6th overall pick, and the Forrest would end up in the semifinal match, I wouldn't have believed it. Everything that you needed to have happen this year, Forrest, has happened for you. It's absolutely insane. Best year of your life. Derek having another great season. Find yourself in the top 3 and looking to, after a low point win, you got lucky. Very, very lucky last week. Can you find a way to get into a Super Bowl matchup? Let's break it down, as it is literally 50-50, not 51-49 like we saw in our previous games. Literally 50-50 within 2 points. This is going to be a tough one, guys. Tua Tagovailoa gets Dallas, and I don't know what to make. It depends on which Dallas defense shows up. I want to say that they're going to really get after Tua. This could be a rough game. I'm tapering my expectation here, and I will say, I know you've got Sam Howell, and they have a decent matchup this week. And I wouldn't judge you if you started Sam Howell over Tua this week, man. Tony Pollard and Jareem Gibbs, running backs 1 and 2, and I will say Tony Pollard, Miami, he hasn't looked great, and then Miami's defense is stepping it up. So I mean, two arguably tough matchups to start off with. You love the Gibbs matchup with Minnesota, and even with the low volume, compared to Montgomery's volume, is killing it. I mean, it doesn't even need a lot of volume if you just give him the volume, and it's just not going to happen this year. Next year, Gibbs will be a top 10 pick for sure. Chris Olave, DJ Moore. Olave no longer on the injury list, and DJ Moore, great matchups. This is where you're going to put a points on the board. Chris Olave gets the Rams. DJ Moore, Arizona. Yeah, 16 points easily could be better for both these players. Sam Laporta gets Minnesota. Another great matchup. I would say you need him to have a 20-point day, Derek, in order to get a win. I think it's that kind of a matchup. Truly, I do. The flex plays where it really is going to hurt you, man. And I know you're hurting over there as Chris Brown. I believe it's Christopher Brown from Cincinnati. Chase Brown. My God, Chase Brown. I'm thinking of, God, man, now I'm getting all, the Chris Brown's a singer, right? Yeah, I think so. I don't know. I'm not into this new age hip hop. Yeah, didn't Chris Brown, he beat the shit out of Rihanna, something like that. I don't remember. Anyway, Chase Brown from Cincinnati, getting Pittsburgh, not a good play, touchdown dependent, boomer bust. Jets defense, great play, and gave the kicker. And Forrest, I will say, if you have the people that are injured slated to play, I mean, you were able to find a win without him, but this week against a tough opponent, not to say that Aaron Felch wasn't a tough opponent. He would have beat me, would have beat Jordan, I mean, would have beat Derek, would have beat Jack Little Raymond last week with his points, but Derek is fresh coming in here, and you need Madison to start. You need Nico Collins to start in this game. Jalen Hurts gets a great matchup against the Giants. Great. I mean, you couldn't have asked for better, and losing the last 3 games in a row, I cannot imagine the Eagles coming out with something to prove in this game. Again, Alexander Madison has to start. He gets Detroit. They're very good against the run, so you're tapering your expectation a little bit. And then this is, I mean, it's just as tough as the matchups, maybe even more tough, considering that Raheem Mostert has to play Dallas when it comes to running back comparison here. Jordan Addison, Nico Collins, running backs 1 and 2. Jordan Addison's got to have another 20-point day. This Minnesota-Detroit game is going to be very important for everyone in this matchup for the both of you guys. Nico Collins, tapering expectation, even if he plays, he gets Cleveland. You really need CJ Stroud to start here. The rumor is he is going to play. Jake Ferguson gets could be one where, hey, Miami being tough is going to work out for Ferguson. You need him to get into the double digits. Deebo Samuel must do Deebo Samuel things, Forrest. You have absolutely stunned every fantasy owner in this league this year by doing what you've done. The fact that Deebo Samuel has been a number 1 pick, I mean, it absolutely has been what you've needed him to be. Has got to do it against Baltimore. It very well could happen. Honestly, I feel like you need just something in the bones tells me that he needs a 30 burger to seal this. Buffalo, the defense, Dicker, the kicker. It's so close. And Derek, I'm going to tell you right now, even with the flex play, I really did think it was going to be you and me. I thought it was going to be Joe, Derek Ash in the championship. That was what's going to happen. But my mind has been shooketh, and I cannot take anything away from Forrest right now. I truly can't. He is the Grand Wizard. The heart of the cards is real. He controls the shit wins, and in this case, the flex play is so bad. I'm honestly surprised you're this close, and it's really because, I mean, your wide receiver core, including tight end, it's really juicy. This is where you're going to put up the majority of your points. But at the end of the day, I can't take anything away from him. Give me the Grand Wizard, heart of the cards, Forrest Dozier, to get to his first ever championship matchup, taking on a rookie, but I can't even give a rookie in that matchup. I'm just saying I can't believe that Forrest has made it this far, and I know he's not done yet. Give me Forrest, Heart of the Card Dozier here in week 16. And guys, that'll sum up all of our matchups for week 16. Have a Merry Christmas. I could not ask to spend, wins, losses, good, bad. It's been a fantastic year. We're not done yet, but I'm so glad that I get to share it and experience it with you guys. I hope you find yourself surrounded with family, fun, food. Please be safe. Have a great holiday season. We'll be back next week for the New Year's and the conclusion of the fantasy season. Keep in mind, guys, the games start, yes, on Thursday, but we've got games starting all early this week. We've got games Saturday, Sunday, into Monday. So check your lineups. If you don't like what you see, please get your lineup started and set. With that being said, good luck to everyone, unless, of course, you're Co-Commissioner Aaron Grog, and then you can have a Merry Christmas, but you have to get the fuck off my lawn. Peace out.